So, welcome to the first session of guided finger labyrinth session that I'm doing for what I've called Labyrinth Week. I've done Labyrinth Week for the last few years in the run up to World Labyrinth Day on Saturday, and I'm very happy to share labyrinths with you. That's a picture of me walking the labyrinth at Toff Manor, which is a retreat centre in Bedfordshire. I'll tell you more about that as we go on. So this is me. This is me guiding somebody to start the labyrinth, sharing a poem with them. I've been using labyrinths for a few years, but I've just recently trained with Veriditas, which is an international labyrinth organisation, to be a labyrinth facilitator, and it was awesome. And I hold wellbeing retreats in person and online for women, mostly women. Occasionally I do sessions where men come as well, and predominantly mums, but not only mums. And I use labyrinths. I find is a brilliant tool, as Dev was saying just now, how she's from coming to my online retreats, has learnt about labyrinths. And I use labyrinths myself for well-being and healing. So there's a labyrinth I made on the beach at Bantham in Devon. I do work with parents, and this was a client of mine who was pregnant and did the labyrinth as part of her birth preparation. And there's a couple of finger labyrinths that I have made, and one with air dry clay and the other one with wood and material and string. Just to tell you very quickly, because you'll all hopefully be relaxed and chilled out at the end, I've got a retreat coming up in just a month's time, and Toff Manor has two amazing labyrinths. There's the grass labyrinth, which is very special, sharp design, and it's also got a new earth labyrinth, which you can see the top left, which is a sand on a bank, and it has an underground womb-like centre. It's very special, quite a unique experience, particularly coming out of that womb centre. But we don't just do labyrinths, we do other things as well, which I shall tell you more about I'll send you a link and you can read about it. I've got a retreat brochure. But if you love labyrinths, then I thoroughly recommend you get to Toff Manor for a retreat. There are retreats there every weekend. So even if you don't come to mine, you can come to another one at Toff Manor, because the labyrinths there are beautiful. And it was the Toff Manor labyrinth was my first experience of a labyrinth. It's got water running under it, and just amazing. I do virtual retreats, and as part of the virtual retreats we do some guided finger labyrinths, and so I started in January with a wintering one. We did a Love Yourself Mama. We've just finished doing springing. We've got summering coming up, harvesting. I don't know if to call it harvesting or autumning, and then we'll be back to wintering. But then they are 4-week sessions, 45 minutes once a week, and then I've got some other ones in between. Anyway, that's just a quick bit about me and how I work with labyrinths. And this is what we've got for Labyrinth Week. So today's session is using the labyrinth for relaxation, unwinding as we wind around the path. And tomorrow's session will be with a focus on healing, and whatever that means to you. Whether, we all of us are carrying something around with us, even if it's just the pandemic. Grief affects us, lack of confidence, ill health, and all these things, heartache. all these things we can take to the labyrinth. And then on Thursday, I'm inviting you to bring somebody or something with you to the labyrinth, metaphorically, something to hold in your mind as you walk around, something or somebody to hold in your mind as you walk around the labyrinth. And just there, it's World Labyrinth Day on Saturday, and everybody around the world is invited to walk as one at one in your own time zone. So you can use the finger labyrinth. I'm not doing an event this year because it's coronation. I am intending to be on a beach in Norfolk, and I will make a labyrinth and walk a labyrinth at one. But you can use your finger labyrinth and just think about the world and world peace as you're walking around. Right, that's enough. Me doing all those introductions. So I think probably most of you who are listening to this have come across labyrinths, because some of you have come from the Labyrinths in Britain Facebook group. Some of you are my clients who I've already worked with labyrinths. So, but just in case there is anybody who hasn't. So a labyrinth is a very old design. It's an archetype design, and they can come in different designs. They all have one path. So unlike a maze, which is trying to trick you and get you lost and you have to make decisions, a labyrinth is one path, and it's going to guide you to the center. And we pause in the center and then follow the same path back out again. Hopefully you've all got a finger labyrinth, either the paper one or a wooden one. I've got some various smaller ones. If you're using a smaller one, what you might like to do is when you come out, go round the edge and go back in again. I will start by reading a poem, and when we get to the end of the poem, then you start walking the labyrinth, and I will walk the labyrinth as well. And when I get back out again, I will read another. I've got a wise saying. It's up to you how you walk the labyrinth. Today we're thinking about relaxation, so you might just want to think of yourself as perhaps at each turn taking a deep breath and dropping your shoulders. Imagine as you are flowing with the labyrinth that your stress and your tension is melting away, is getting washed away. And when you get to the center, taking a deep breath in and a longer breath out, letting your shoulders drop and pausing. Labyrinths are great for relaxation because they can really help you to slow down. So I encourage you to go slowly. And if you find yourself feeling the urge and the need to go a little bit faster, take a deep breath, let your shoulders drop and slow down, or just stop for a moment. The other thing that helps with labyrinths, help with relaxation, is it makes us be mindful, so we can be aware of our senses, be aware as you're taking your fingers around the labyrinth, that you're thinking about the feel of the labyrinth, the feel, even if it's just paper. You'll be amazed how much texture there is in paper when you actually feel where your finger is actually contacting with the paper. But be aware on a wider sensory. Does the paper smell? Does the labyrinth smell? Have you got a breeze? Are there reflections? What is your eye noticing or your ear noticing out of the corner of your awareness. Let anything that comes to you while you're in the labyrinth, consider it as a metaphor. So if you find yourself getting lost, then consider that maybe that's okay, that maybe you just needed to do that path again. So I will be ready to start. Or you might like to use and not your index finger on your dominant hand, but another finger or your non-dominant hand. So I invite you to take a deep breath in and a longer breath out. Take a moment to be present. Be aware of your body. Be aware of the furniture beneath you, down to the ground, down into the earth. Be aware of the air above you, right up to the clouds, the sky, and space beyond. Be aware of the room around you and the space between you and the other people taking part, and then wherever they are, and out to the whole world. I invite you to then bring your attention in to where you are sitting and feel the labyrinth in your hands or under your hands. Be aware of the space and the shape of the labyrinth. And prepare yourself to stepping in. Take another deep breath in and a longer breath out, and consider your intention, if you want one, while I read this poem. When I have finished reading this poem, start your journey. And I will read another poem when I have finished. But there's no hurry. This is a poem by Noel Davis. Come into the quiet and be gracious with time and with yourself. Take off your thoughts, anxieties, expectations, and lay them aside. Ease into the silence and surrender to the stillness. Lose yourself in being. This is Rest by Donna Ashworth. If only we could see the power of rest. If only we could attach to it the worth it so deserves. If only we could open our minds to the idea that everything in nature has its time to rise and its time to descend. That each of these acts as it acts is as important as the other, and that's exactly as it must be. If only the ability to allow our bodies space to heal was awarded the same badge of honor given to busyness and stress in this life. If only we could realize resting is very much doing. If you're still walking the labyrinth, then that's absolutely fine. I'm actually going to read, I didn't read the full poem at the beginning by Noel Davies because the last stanza was particularly poignant for finishing off. So I hope you have enjoyed this evening's session. I am going to finish the recording in a moment. Those of you who are attending live, you're free to turn your cameras on in a minute if you would like to give feedback, or give feedback in the chat. You're very welcome. If you are joining me via the recording, I hope you've enjoyed it too. You might like to make using a finger labyrinth part of your bedtime routine to help you slow down and unwind before you get into bed, or part of a morning routine to help you focus, or any time. The ones that you can carry around in your bag and use if you're sitting somewhere or having a stressful time. So thank you very much for joining me. Ease into the silence, surrender to the stillness, lose yourself in being. Let its joy and ease accompany you through the stresses and anxieties of your everyday.